Adult Swim's Uzumaki is a thing.
I guess.
Look, it happened, okay? So, let's talk about it. So I'm gonna rip the band-aid off right now because this review is not gonna be long, okay? One is probably because of fear of, you know, getting, I don't know, copyrighted or striked on YouTube, because apparently a lot of videos that were talking about Uzumaki, this was happening to, and also because there's really not that much to talk about when it comes to Uzumaki, if you saw it. So, right off the bat, we're just gonna, spoiler warning, just right here, ding ding dong. But the things, the bells and the whistles and all of that, if you don't want to get spoiled, don't watch past this point. So I'm going to be talking about a couple of specific things within the show that may or may not spoil it for you, but I'm also going to be talking about things that have happened behind the scenes as a result of the reception of the show, which I think is far more interesting. So let's jump right into it, shall we? The story surrounding Uzumaki is a bit weird. It's a Lovecraftian horror about a town in Japan that slowly becomes engulfed in a curse. This curse is known as the spiral, which is what Uzumaki means. A spiral in Japanese culture is often associated with warmth and is accentuated in its manga to highlight a character's cuteness. But Junji Ito said,
Nah, it's scarier than that.
Brother, ugh.
So everyone in the town slowly starts to go crazy about spirals. They see it everywhere, in the water, in pottery, even in the smoke when someone dies. And we follow Kirie and Shoichi, mainly trying to uncover what is actually going on within the town. Even when they try to leave the town, they can't. The town somehow keeps bringing them back. People turn into slugs, people eat slugs, people comically ride around on tornadoes. Grandpa goes completely nuts. There's even mosquito people. It gets so insane that Shoichi's mom gets admitted into a hospital and stabs herself in the ear because she finds out that there is a cochlear ganglion in the ear. Yeah. And she can't have anything regarding spirals on her or around her. But very slowly, everyone starts to go literally crazy, and as the story progresses, we find out that the town itself is built on a shrine. This shrine, nobody knows where it came from, but it awakens every couple of 100 or so years and takes all of its inhabitants for some reason, and then it goes back into hibernation. There is no stopping it. It will happen, and everyone will die. So that's the gist of the show. And with that, let's get into the drama surrounding Uzumaki. And really, it all stems from one simple thing. The very first episode. For those of us that actually watched it, we saw some pretty amazing stuff right off the bat with this show. The first episode is gorgeous. Hauntingly gorgeous. And this is coming from someone who just recently found out about Junji Ito's work within like the past 2 years or so. I unfortunately saw the disaster of, Netflix Maniac, which I personally found to be more hilarious than scary.
Where did all these mysterious and murderous objects arrive here from? It's this way all over. Japan is infested with these strange floating objects. The skies above us are riddled with the lifeless bodies of their victims who were hung by their necks. Hey, that one's... Oh, no. That one looks like me. That's my own head, and it's heading this way. There's a rope coming down towards me.
But Adult Swim decided to take a crack at it. And upon doing a bit more research and looking into it further, looking into the people who actually produced the show adds relevance to what happened here. So the producers of the show are listed as, obviously, the main ones, Adult Swim. But then we also have Akatsuki, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Akatsuki. I might have f***ed up the pronunciation of that word. Drive and Production IG. Production IG are no strangers to the anime game. I just recently, not recently, it's been actually a while since I've talked about it, but I just recently did a review on Terminator Zero, to which they were actually the producers of that show as well. And, you know, Terminator Zero was great. It was fantastic. I enjoyed it. And Uzumaki is being helmed by, like, you know, Production IG and also Adult Swim, both of which are just like, you know, they're just heavy hitters in the anime genre, all of that shit. They're kind of big hitters, heavy hitters, right? So, Uzumaki, it had to be good, right?
Like, look at this. This looks like a Dark Souls 1 falling animation, and not the remaster, the original Dark Souls 1. Just a PNG going down. Like, I'm not an anime studio, and I could do that myself.
So, what actually happened? Why was the first episode so goddamn good, but the following episodes just...
What?
They just progressively got worse in so many different aspects. They progressively got worse in story and in animation quality. I mean, look at this. It's hilarious and it's ridiculous at the same time. And, you know, to answer this, we have to look at one of the people, I guess it was one of the, you know, the directors or something like that, that was working on Uzumaki. So here we have Polygon's article. I'm just gonna read through it. So the Polygon article says, what went wrong with Uzumaki's second episode? The anime's executive producer has an answer, sorta, and in quotations underneath we were screwed over. I don't understand what that means, and we'll talk about that in a second. So if you consider yourself an anime fan, you've either been watching or come across someone talking about Uzumaki, the TV anime adaptation of Junji Ito's cult classic horror manga has been in the works for what seems like ages now, having been repeatedly delayed since it was first announced back in 2019. The first episode of the 4-episode series premiered last month to an effusive reception, with the critics and audiences alike complimenting the anime for its impressive animation and fidelity to the atmospheric horror of Ito's original work. That reception, however, has soured in the wake of the premiere of Uzumaki's second episode this past weekend. Many viewers have taken to social media to express their confusion and disappointment at what they have described as visible decline in the quality of the second episode's animation, especially when compared to the series' first episode. Fans online are upset and naturally want answers as to what happened. Fortunately, we now have something in the way of an answer, courtesy of since deleted comments made by one of the series creators. All right, so here we go. Here are the tweets, okay? So here I guess these are the tweets. It's fine, we knew this would happen. I can't talk about what went down, but we were screwed over, and the options were A, not finish and air nothing and call it a loss, B, just finish and air episode 1 and leave it incomplete, or C, run all 4, warts and all, out of respect for the hard work. We chose C. After waiting so long, it makes sense people would be mad. Unfortunately, I can't tell them who to blame it on, but someone is definitely at fault here. And we all just had to do our best when things imploded. Maybe others would have made different choices. We did the best we could with what we had. But again, a lot of people worked very hard on the show, and I didn't think the actions of just 1 or 2 people should be the reason it never saw the light of day. Maybe that's the wrong choice. I truly don't know, but those people have a right to be annoyed and disappointed. I'm glad you are digging it. So that's
What?
In a series of posts made on the social media website Blue Sky, Uzumaki executive producer Jason DeMarco stated that not only was the reaction to the series' second episode expected, but that someone was responsible for the noticeable dip in the animation for the episode. I can't talk about what went down, but we were screwed over, blah, blah, blah. We already talked about this just shortly ago. DeMarco expressed understanding for the frustration and anger that Uzumaki fans had for the episode. Yep, and we read all that. While DeMarco's post shed light on some of the thought process behind Uzumaki's production, it doesn't quite fully answer the question of what happened during the making of the series' second episode. It's easy to speculate in bad faith over what might have occurred, or to make glib comments about the series' budget running out. Frankly, neither of these is particularly useful in better understanding what factors led to this stilted animation and poor lip syncing as seen in Uzumaki's second episode. Animation is a complicated medium that involves many moving parts and collaborators. For all the ways that creators and studios have found to streamline the process, animation nevertheless remains a craft that is subject to any number of challenges, to say nothing of the inherently vulnerable and diffuse nature of the creative process itself. And it's worth noting, of course, that one of the biggest factors that complicated Uzumaki's production was the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, as DeMarco stated in an interview published last month. The pandemic completely stopped production on the show for close to a year. It was the single biggest impact, DeMarco told Vulture. Our crew was small, so having even a few members of their families getting deathly ill was a huge blow to both the production and our morale. It was very challenging to bring the show back from the dead. Uzumaki set to air its third penultimate episode on Sunday, October 13th. So it's been a while, right? Since and you know, rightfully so, it's taken me a pretty long time to talk about this. Because I was so like I think a lot of people, I was incredibly excited when I saw the first episode, and then all of a sudden, you know, the second episode aired and I was confused because the first episode was just so good, right? It was everything that I had wanted. It was great. It was weird. I didn't know what was happening, but that's sort of par for the course when you have an animation that's a series, right? Like that's even if it's a limited series, it's par for the course. You're never supposed to understand everything right from the jump. But then the second episode aired and they were running on the beach and I had questions. So according to DeMarco, something happened and we just get a very vague idea about what exactly happened, but it doesn't really answer anything really. But to me, it sounds like funding was, you know, may have been cut, you know, in the production of Uzumaki as a whole, which that can, you know, directly correlate to why we just saw, you know, such an incredible quality in episode 1 and then it just dwindled off within episode 2 and so on and so forth. To me, somehow this is significantly worse. Okay, I don't know how or why, but it is because you can physically see the decline in animation as you watch the episodes. And to me, like, animation dips, that's really not even that big of a deal if the story is good. Like, even if the animation is asshole, okay, it's just pure and utter shit balls to the wall. If your story is good enough, that's kind of second place, right? Like, the story needs to be good, and you're working with an IP that is Junji Ito. It's already written out for you, but the story wasn't even good. I don't want to say the story wasn't good because it was good. Okay, let me retract that. It was okay for Uzumaki on, you know, Adult Swim. And again, I can deal with the shoddy animation so long as the story holds its weight, right? But after the episodes progressed, it just kind of like the story itself became an amalgam of just shit happening without an explanation. And it, to me, in watching the show, it felt like things were either just straight up rushed or cut from the actual show that could have added some sort of explanation as to what was going on. It just felt like things were just jumping from scene to scene. And those cuts and, you know, that rushed process kind of just diminished the depth of what could have been as a result of, you know, the story. And I think this is part of some of the arguments that I've seen online because Uzumaki on Adult Swim is only 4 episodes long, and apparently Uzumaki is a very hefty book, okay? Like, it's huge, it's massive, all right? And to kind of water that down into 4 episodes, 4 20-minute episodes at that, you're gonna cut things and you're gonna lose things within a story that's just not gonna add to the overall experience of what Junji Ito was trying to convey, and I get that. I do think that there's things that could have been done to make it far more interesting, but still, though, like, none of the actual facts and the things that were talked about in the article really answer anything at all. And it makes this production of Junji Ito's Uzumaki that much more tragic because we kind of get something. We get something. We literally see it in the first episode, just fantastically done, and it just looks great. And everything looks amazing. Everything was just so on point that it showed us what could have been. And then you watch the next couple of episodes, and it's just tragic to see it decline in real time, like as you're watching it. It's tragic as hell. Also, if the question was about, you know, funding to the production, I do think that things could have happened here to make sure that the quality didn't dwindle. But I'm not an animator, and I'm not going to pretend to know all of the ins and outs of what happens in anime or in an animation or in a production like this. But I'm also not the only person that feels this way, right, Papa Meat?
To work in a very tight budget is very difficult. I've been making cartoons regardless what you think of them. You could hate them, you could do whatever. All I know is I have been making cartoons independently for a long time, and there are ways to get things done that doesn't just completely kill people. Is it a lot of work? Yes, definitely. It's hard to say who's at fault here. I feel like both parties are. I think they put all of their eggs in one basket, and it left everything else so bare that there was no redeeming qualities. If you knew that this was the budget, you should have taken the quality of this and cut it up to where every episode had that kind of same consistency. And I still think it would have been very well received. Like, I really do.
So I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that every episode is bad. It's bad in quality of the animation. You know, after the first episode, yeah, that's a fact. But that hospital episode with the mosquito people, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I grew up in Puerto Rico dealing with mosquitoes, but that episode creeped me the hell out. It freaked me out. I don't know why it freaked me out. I didn't like it, and it made me feel things in my body. It actually made me feel weird in a horror kind of way, and that was a good feeling. I liked it. I liked it, but I didn't like it at the same time. Let's just put it that way. But the show, it doesn't just deteriorate in just animation, right? Like, I think in between like the third and fourth episode, it starts to deteriorate in just story, and that it's, oh my god, I have so much things to say about this animation, because it punches you in the face right off the bat, and then it's like they just dropped it, like they just were like from an airplane, and that was it. That's what it felt like. They were just like, yeah, we got something so good, and it's flying up here, and then like literally right after like 20 minutes into your flight, they just threw you out of the passenger side of the airplane and let you fall and die. That's what it felt like. And to be honest, I can't begin to really comprehend what happened with Junji Ito's Uzumaki. This is the evidence that we have to go off of. I don't really think it explains anything, and it's kind of tragic because I do think that people who were just excited to see it, even up-and-coming fans like myself, who have just discovered Junji, I just bought Uzumaki the book today. Okay, I just bought it today, you know, and I'm starting to get more into like the actual reading of manga and things like that, purchasing like a couple of manga. And Junji Ito is just very interesting to me. It's right up my alley when it comes to like horror and stuff like that. I've never been more intrigued by an animator's work other than this animator. So yeah, it was just really tragic to see this show kind of decline in the ways that it did. My dog is booping in the back. I don't know if you can hear him. I think he's asleep. Mike? I should go check on him. Let me go check on him. Yeah, bendito chiquito. He was having a bad dream. So, I had to go make sure my son was okay. So with that, my final thoughts surrounding Uzumaki are, it's okay. Besides a few amazing ideas, the black and white animation, and some standout episodes, it's really just okay. It's just okay. The larger kind of Lovecraftian, you know, horror themes behind it make it extremely interesting. And what this show did for me was actually made me want to read the book. and buy it, which I did. And I think, you know, part of the reason why Uzumaki failed is that it's only 4 episodes long, and each episode is pretty short. It's only like, you know, 20 minutes long. So we can't expect, we don't get that much by way of storytelling out of the animation. And for me, this created an extremely deep itch, because literally every single review I have read on Uzumaki, the actual manga, they say that this is Junji Ito's masterpiece. Some people even felt weird after reading it. So I want something strange for a piece of change. I want to experience what the original man had in mind, because this book is hefty. And from my perspective, you know, no matter what happened as a result of the reception of Adult Swim's Uzumaki, you know, Adult Swim, Production IG Drive, and all of the other guys behind making this counts as a win in my book. If an animation does something so well, or arguably bad enough, that it makes me intrigued into the source material that actually inspired it and that, you know, it's based off of, that's a W. That's a W. So Adult Swim, they stirred something in me. They did. And with that, you know, I thank them for actually, you know, taking the risk and actually doing something with this man's work that actually it stirred something inside of me. Now I can go and read. I don't read enough. Okay, that's the truth. I don't read too much. But I would happily read this. Trust me. It looks phenomenal. I can't wait to get my hands on this book. But what I think. What do you think? I want to know. Let me know. Write me a comment. Leave me a comment. You know, share it with your friends. Let's talk about it. What did you think about Uzumaki? Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Did you think it was funny? Did you think that falling scene was hilarious? Because I did. That shit was funny. I don't know what to say about that falling scene, but it was not good. It wasn't good. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate everything that you do. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Any engagement helps. And as always, my friends, peace, and much love. I will catch you on the next one.